Do you know what I like to talk about? Yeah, everything. Everything should be talked about. Yes, I do like to talk about myself because it is perfectly fine and it is most appropriate, and everyone should pat themselves on the back. If I hear that a lot, oh, you're just patting. Well, yes, I'm patting myself on the back. All of you that are waiting for somebody else to pat yourself on the back, I've already had multiple pats from myself. I would encourage each of you to pat yourself on the back for something that you're proud of. Why is it that you need someone else to be proud of you? That's a good question. If you feel like you need someone to be proud of you, someone that's not you, we should probably talk about that. Why? Remember, I say, ask why. Why? Communication. Communication, that's, we're all experts at that. Oh, communication has made so much progress. Technology and has made a lot of progress, but I would not say that appropriate communication skills have. We should talk about everything. If why would something be hush hush? Think about that. If you why should something be hush hush? What are you trying to hide? Now, do we each have private areas of our life? Yes, we do. But what I'm saying is you should be communicating with people in your circle, in your bubble. Remember, it's your bubble. And it's okay if your bubble is huge. I don't know. I feel like I'm an open book. Ask and I'll probably answer. I feel like I need to. I feel like if it's a part of my life, yeah, why not? It's my life. But that's me. I'll share. I realize, trust me, I know. Not everybody's good at sharing. Some people are like, we'll call them pearls because that's positive. There are pearls, either clammed up, and you're not getting it. Not getting one. Very rare that you get a pearl. And if you get it, it's expensive. Do you really want a pearl? Ask yourself that. No. Okay. Think about, if you know me, I say this all the time. We're born knowing nothing. And everything has to be learned. That's just, I can't say common knowledge because I say a lot. Common sense is only common to the person stating it. We each have our own sense that's common to us. It may be common sense to me, not to, not to argue with somebody that wants to argue, or it may be common sense to me that why would I get upset just because somebody else is? Somebody's mad at me, why would I get mad? I don't want to get mad. So, but that's my common sense. So what's common to me may not be common to another. What's common to another may not be common to me. I get told a lot, you ain't got no common sense. Not your common sense. I don't. You're right. I don't have it. I didn't steal it. I'm not trying to take it. I got my own stuff. I am responsible only for me. Now, I would be more than happy, and I am more than happy to help anyone. That's the whole purpose of what I do and my talking. And I always say if I had that pixie dust stuff, I'd give it to everybody. Why not? I feel like we're all created to love one another, but we don't. From the time that we're born, I feel like we're conditioned. And it is a dog-eat-dog world. But And I guess that's where my spirituality comes in, because then, you build that relationship and you understand and you develop that and you realize we all need our own little bubble. Our bubble. We can bring people into the bubble, but we don't have to worry about a lot of crap out there that people are worried about. I saw a Facebook, I believe it was John Lyle posted, may not have been, somebody posted something about how many times it said, "Don't be afraid," in the Bible. Well, don't be afraid. I always say, well, Peter doubted, or Peter could walk on water until when? Until he doubted. Okay? Well, God knows your heart. That's the thing, though. Because we'll say, oh, I don't have any doubts, but we'll have some. Well, God knows all. So if you've got, a little bitty, teeny tiny, well, there you go. But your heart is always what matters. And I say that is, there are some, which everybody has different ways of learning and, beliefs and environments and however, I say that, but in today's world, you become an adult, I promise you, I made some different choices. As only I can do, as I had to do, I needed to do for my life. So, one thing, a life, I full well understand, an upset childhood, maybe not so cohesive and encouraging, and abuse. And however, I've been on my own since 16. Yeah. And it was up to me. There wasn't anybody else. God. However, it was up to me. I think we all have choices to make. I know we all have choices to make. However, there's a lot of outside influence. All right. We get to choose that too. You get to choose what you want to influence yourself. And it's not easy. And if you're sitting around waiting for someone else to be proud of you, that's the thing. You think about that. Everybody has their own. They need to focus on them. I mean, truly, you need to focus on you. Somewhere along the line, someone said, well, that's narcissistic or that's selfish. Or, okay, there's a huge difference in all of that. In fact, I'll tell you, number one, narcissistic behaviors and traits are not positive. All right, not healthy, and they will do damage to others. All right, there's a huge difference in loving yourself, giving yourself pats on the back, and being proud of who you are, and saying that, and loving it, and being happy about it, because it doesn't do harm to another. You know what? No. Now, there's a difference if you. It's the heart. It's the intent. It will be known. Now, sometimes our own emotional insecurities, sometimes, quite often, get in the way of logic. And when I say that, I mean, that's serious. That's true. You have emotion and logic. All right. That's the biggest issue we have because we're not taught. Who set you down and taught you about feelings, emotions, love, the way to respond? If you did have someone, great. Then my mind goes to, but who taught them? And who taught them? And I still want to know, is that most appropriate? Is that what's right for me? So my mind says, I can't, I've got to do this on my own. And that's what I encourage every person. However, let's stop and think about things logically separated from emotion. Here's what happens. Emotion, this is what's, once again, common sense. It's not the same for everyone, all right? I'm not, and I don't make fun, I just want to encourage every person. Number one, don't compare yourself to someone else. Oh, they don't have, stop comparing yourself. What's wonderful about me may not be what's wonderful about another. What's not so wonderful about me might be someone else's wonderful. That's a major thing. And it all goes back to how you feel about you. If you're proud of you, if you love you, healthy, positive, you don't want to do harm to another. No. Even when someone does harm to you, no, I don't think you don't have those thoughts, because you do. But I turn to prayer and I say, Scripture, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. That means I don't need to do anything. Nothing, because it's not mine to do. I see it like this. We're all God's children. Whether you believe or not, you're still one of God's children. So, could I say that my God is the same? I have to, maybe I could be. My God is love. So in the book, the Bible, my God, if you have a different God, I promise you my God loves your God, because my God is love. So wonderful. So I have no issues with anyone that has any other spiritual. That's, I can only tell you about mine, what I believe, and that's what I do as I go around and share. I could do nothing, none of it, without the relationship I have with God. None. In doing what I do, I am an expert. There's a huge difference in just going to school and getting the piece of paper that says you can do this. Anywho, it's basically, I explain it like this. My clinical supervisor is God. Okay? Who else to have? He created us. Who knows more about how we work? And it was my heart that God said, because I did have a terrible childhood. Awful. Some great parts, but there were some, there were some not so wonderful parts. And I do say, I don't think about that. I mean, everything that happened in my childhood was for me to be exactly who I am. I can't tell you how many children I have helped in court systems by writing letters to judges because of all those credentials and everything I have. That, once again, my life led me to here. It was my heart asking God, help me help everybody make it through this life that is hard. I want to share. I want to give it. Help me. I've had some of the toughest times. Why? Because I needed to know what it felt like to do what I do. It's an amazing, beautiful gift. I work very hard not to take it for granted, and I do want to share. It is how I make my living, and I write things, but it's also how I tithe, because I give a lot of services for free. Why? Because God said love him first and foremost. Love your neighbor as yourself, and if you love yourself, you will be loving your neighbors. And basically, that's all you need. You do 1 and 2, you're good to go. Love. Everything should be done out of love. And then it goes back. That's another conversation, because who sat you down and taught you about love? If you were, everything is learned. So we're observing. We're either being taught or we're observing. Now that the World Wide Web opened up an infinite world of knowledge. Prior to that, you got what was in your little square, your little community, your church, your, you know, what new or on the news. If you heard something, it was the world news, whatever the world news gave you. But we didn't get everything. Nowadays, we know whatever is happening wherever. We can look it up. If we're curious, we just have to type it in. That's how we have advanced. However, where we haven't advanced, which doesn't make sense, back to my logic and emotion here, to me, once again, common sense to me, is we have advanced in so many ways, except the ones that should be number one, first and foremost, and which should be anything that has to do with our mental capacity, cognitive abilities, us making it through this life. However, because of the job I do, and I recently had this conversation, that mental health is still an optional, and some insurance, just because you have insurance does not mean you have mental health, behavioral health, whatever they call it, coverage. No, you may just have physical. And let me tell you, my common sense again, if this right here, this is what drives me nuts. You want to see me go crazy? This controls everything. All of it. Everything. So I can assure you, I don't care if it's a mental illness, if this isn't good, nothing else is going to be optimal. So what that tells me, even today, even now that people, we need to do something about mental health. Suicide, we need to, that's another, I have a lot of things to talk about. That's something else. Because we don't, once again, what should be talked about? Everything. People are so uncomfortable talking about anything. Suicide, sex, murder, rape, pedophiles. Why if it's out here and based on a level of cognition and maturity, we need to talk about it. Death, number one. I'm on a soapbox now. Number one, death is just as much a part of life as birth. Can't have one without the other. If you're birthed, you will die. If you're dead, it's because you were birthed. And we avoid talking about things like that. And then we wonder why we don't handle death so well. Well, number one, because we don't appreciate the living. Ding, ding, ding. Number two, hush, hush, we don't talk about it. Guess what? What's learned? Everything. And let me tell you, we have to learn how to handle life with that behavioral health coverage that is optional, that you may or may not have. Once again, luckily for you, if you don't have it, I'll still help you. Why? Because you're one of God's children. He gave me the gift. It's my duty. And He'll provide it in other ways for me. He always does. But we should still be doing something about that. Every person on this planet worldwide should say, oh my goodness, if this isn't good, the brain, and if you're brain dead, let me tell you how debilitating. I don't have to tell you. What? I don't have to tell you how debilitating mental health conditions, symptoms, it is. If this is not good, nothing else is. You can just forget about it. Doesn't matter. You're not optimal. Okay? The only way to be optimal, the only way to function on your optimal level, this also goes to, let's say, Oh, remember the logic and the emotion, logic, whichever one. Okay, here's how powerful mental health is. My common sense is different. Once again, if you don't have a good balance, let me tell you who always wins. Emotion. Always, always, always. Logic and emotion. Here comes an issue, a problem. Woo-hoo-hoo! We're taking over because you don't have a good balance. Once you learn that good balance, emotion says, rah. Logic says, I get it. But hey, remember who we are? We don't participate in those type of behaviors, and it's sad that someone wants to participate in those type of behaviors. We'll help if we can. However, that's another thing. We're lazy and people want someone else to do something for them, and I can do not. You can listen. I will listen. I love to listen. Nobody wants to hear that. I do. I want to hear all of it because I want to help you with it. I want to try to understand it. Anywho, and help you understand. And because it's a gift that God has given me to share. And I do the best I can to share. But you need a good balance so that your logic and emotion are good friends. And they have discussions and stuff. However, we're good. We realize that, but if emotion gets to be a bully, that doesn't end up well. And that's generally what happens because, once again, mental health is an option. Talking about crazy. You wonder who I think's crazy? Anyone that would think mental health is optional, I think everybody, you better call your insurance. And I'm not joking. And ask. Because problems are everywhere. We're not taught how to deal with things. There are people that can help. But they have to survive too. And, dear goodness, mental health is an option. See, that doesn't make sense to me. That's somebody's common sense. It's not mine. Well, it's 22 minutes. I can end that for now. Comment on what you want me to talk about, what you would like to discuss. I guess, and do you want me to go live so that you can interact? I don't know. This is not my area of expertise. Technology, that has progressed. Communication skills that have not. And I like to talk about everything. So I'm all ears.